Welcome back to Inside Games, the only gaming channel brave enough to report some good news about Activision Blizzard.
Need a little more emphasis on the sum, though. It does continue to be more bad news than good for the house that Warcraft built. Well, I guess Warcraft and systemic sexual harassment.
Oh boy, that kind of gives Zug Zug a new meaning, huh?
Zug Zug.
Did you have to ruin all those good video games, you goddamn assholes? Yes, they did, apparently. Speaking of pain, it's time to check in with Papa Kotick and see how Blizzard Entertainment's multiple ongoing sexual harassment suits have developed.
Yeah, like we said, there are actually a few positive developments. That's good. But we have a whole lot of mess and drama to cover on the way, so let's get started.
Brief recap here. When we last checked in on Activision Blizzard, they'd surprise announced a settlement with the United States Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, or EEOC, on September 27th. That was kind of weird, because nobody at the time even knew they were being sued by the EEOC. All the news developments until that point had focused on the other lawsuit by the state of California and the Department of Fair Employment and Housing, or DFEH.
Yeah, the multiple lawsuits led to a complication, too. The California DFEH filed a motion claiming that the EEOC settlement would, in effect, destroy the evidence that the DFEH needed to prosecute their case.
Yeah, very specifically, terms of the settlement between Blizzard and the EEOC would allow Activision Blizzard to erase sexual harassment claims from employees' records after they'd received compensation from a fund set aside to pay out victims. The California DFEH claimed that scrubbing those records would make their prosecution way more difficult because the evidence just wouldn't be there anymore.
I know you're all following along at home, right? Hold on, there's more. It's gonna get even messier, so here we go.
It turns out that the two lawsuits actually have more in common than just, body slamming Activision for sexual harassment. Apparently, they also share the lawyers themselves, and that's a huge problem according to California state law.
Following the DFEH's October 6th appeal that we described previously, the one that claimed Blizzard Entertainment settlement would eliminate evidence, the EEOC responded with a memorandum of points that specifically called out this alleged ethics violation on October 8th.
To quote the memorandum directly, quote, two DFEH attorneys who play leadership roles within the organization previously served as EEOC, who helped to direct the EEOC's investigation to commissioner's charge number blah 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 against Activision Blizzard Incorporated. These same attorneys then proceeded to represent the DFEH in connection with these intervention proceedings, which seek to oppose the consent decree that arose out of the very investigation they helped to direct while at the EEOC.
This all violates the California State Bar rules for special conflicts of interest, which states, quote, a lawyer who has formerly served as a public official or employee of the government shall not otherwise represent a client in connection with a matter in which the lawyer participated personally and substantially as a public official or employee.
Okay, in this case, theoretically, the two lead lawyers, if they had at least made that relationship known from the outset of the case or obtained the proper consent from the EEOC first, it's possible this whole issue could have been avoided or at the very least mitigated. But they didn't do that.
They did try to pave it over at the last minute, though. The EEOC's memorandum goes on to narrate that the California DFEH quickly hired new lawyers and filed another appeal a few hours later. Shockingly, this did not make the problem go away.
Yeah, the EEOC is kind of going for the kill move here. Quote, after being informed of this conflict, DFEH retained new counsel, but appears to have filed the present intervention motion just hours after this counsel was retained, strongly suggesting that the motion is a product of the prohibited representation. For this reason, the intervention motion should be disallowed and DFEH attorneys should be barred from providing work product to or advising new counsel in connection with these intervention proceedings.
As a result, the EEOC claims that the violating lawyers have affected the DFEH's entire legal department, and thus the whole organization should be prevented from proceeding with their original objection.
Yeah, or basically this entire appeal should just be tossed out. The appeal to settlement. And if the DFEH wants to file another one, they got to start with an entirely separate legal staff, which would not be able to access any of the work product from this current objection. So they got to go from square one, and they don't have access to any of the research or anything like that.
All right, Shooklyn, our editor, here's what I need you to put on the screen. I need you to put legal yikes. Legal yikes on the screen. Yeah, legal yikes, lots of shaking, because that is one hell of a fuck up.
Surely they knew, right? Like, there's no way that this was a whoopsie. They're lawyers that passed the bar. But there is one place that's celebrating this development, and it's probably the legal defense team at Activision Blizzard. A number of crisp high fives were probably exchanged on that day, I'm sure.
They didn't waste too much time high-fiving, though. Directly citing the reported ethics violations, Activision Blizzard's legal team filed an ex parte application on October 19th to stay the DFEH's case arguing that proceeding with the suit is a waste of time and money if it's on deck to be dismissed outright. An LA County Court judge rejected that application about a week later on October 25th.
That's where we're at. We presume the DFEH is working on some kind of response, but the legal consensus I've seen from a few different analysts on the internet seems to be that this is really not great for the California state investigation. If conflict of interest has truly sunk the California state case, then really all we have left, the only prominent legal result of all of this would be Activision Blizzard's settlement with the EEOC.
And they really fucked that up. That sucks, because Activision Blizzard should be paying out the ass for this, and they may not as much. The terms of that settlement are not the best, though, with the EEOC. It provides for an $18 million fund to, quote, compensate and make amends to eligible claimants, end quote, in addition to fuzzier promises to upgrade internal policies and enhance oversight to adjust corporate culture.
18 million. Woo. So, just FYI, put this in context. Activision Blizzard made $8.09 billion in revenue in 2020 alone. The settlement fund, which ostensibly is meant to compensate all of the affected women over the whole course of the company's entire operation, amounts to 0.2% of their revenue from a single year. That's good business, but it's also pretty shitty and evil.
Unsurprisingly, the company, currently in the middle of so many sexual harassment lawsuits, they're starting to get tangled up, also decided to cancel their community celebration event.
Yeah, Blizzard wisely figured that BlizzCon would not have the best vibe this year or early next year when it was supposed to happen. And that's COVID complications notwithstanding, which were already affecting the event. The company announced via an October 26 blog post that they've, quote, decided to take a step back and pause on planning the previously announced BlizzConline event scheduled for early next year. This was a tough decision for all of us to make, but it's the right one.
Post also expresses Blizzard's desire to, quote, reimagine what a BlizzCon event of the future could look like, and, quote, to ensure that it feels as safe, welcoming, and inclusive as possible.
Makes sense. A bit of a brand change might be necessary given that the California suit specifically described predatory behavior from BlizzCon developers at BlizzCon events. That's the whole Cosby suite thing, which is just...
So maybe BlizzCon will return as MetaCon in 2022? Huh? MetaCon! Meta!
We have just applied the Sweet Baby Rays.
It's got a new name! Everyone likes it now. Yeah, I've got all this crappy news, and now you got me thinking about the ghoulish face of Mark Zuckerberg. I thought this was supposed to be a good we were supposed to have good news, Bruce. We promised it.
Yeah, but there is. No, we're getting there. We're getting there, Lawrence. All right, so just give him the good news. Give him the good news.
All right. So even though the legal side of all this unfortunate bullshit is getting really, really messy, it seems Activision Blizzard themselves are finally making some direct action.
Oh, that's fantastic to hear. Geez, finally, huh? All it took was many lawsuits and months. Activision Blizzard claims to have terminated more than 20 employees related to allegations of sexual harassment and discrimination, as originally reported by the Financial Times and then Reuters.
Cool. Heads on chopping block. Like to hear it. In addition, 20 more employees are facing other forms of disciplinary action, which it does fire up my imagination, I'll say. I like imagining all sorts of things that might be happening to those people.
So that's some kind of justice, I guess. That's a little bit of there. Provided you trust the same company that's responsible for all this in the first place, to also be honest about its corrective actions. I would assume the employees at Activision Blizzard will hopefully be forthright and honest with the internet if things are not as they seem. I hope they tell us.
They certainly have no reason to keep things on the down low for Activision Blizzard at this point. Oh, there's more justice too, a little bit. A few crumbs of justice fell from the Lord's table himself. Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick descended from on high to let us know what's up this morning as of recording.
Yeah, these are actually brand new. Kotick published an open letter on October 28th announcing several new initiatives and directly addressing many demands made by Activision Blizzard employees.
All right, so here we go. The rocket's about to take off. Good news. For starters, and this is awesome, Activision Blizzard will no longer require forced arbitration regarding sexual harassment or discrimination claims. That's great and is a direct result of employee demands. The ABK Workers Alliance celebrated this specifically as they demanded it back on September 2nd.
Just for context, forced arbitration would require workers to waive their right to sue just to officially file a complaint and pursue remedy internally at Blizzard, which is insane. This essentially forces the employee to just live with whatever the company does, or doesn't, do, since they have no other option. It's completely one-sided for the employer.
So that's gone. Good news. More good news. Kotick also announced that Activision Blizzard is, quote, implementing a zero-tolerance policy across Activision Blizzard that will be applied consistently. Anyone found guilty of retaliation based on internal investigations will be terminated immediately, including most of those harassing someone based on legally protected categories.
Activision Blizzard also set a target to, quote, increase the percentage of women and non-binary people in our workforce by 50% in the next 5 years, which would increase their total representation, quote, to more than 1/3 across the entire company.
The hits are coming, they're good stuff. Okay, so other provisions, they're there, but they're a bit less concrete. It includes an annual report on pay equity and quarterly progress updates on gender hiring, diversity hiring, and just general workplace progress. So a fun little newsletter.
Not bad, not bad. Kotick had one more showstopper just to shut everyone up. And when I read this, I went, hey, nice job, Bobby. Way to go.
It's the one thing that no one can really argue with, right? Unless you do, whatever. Sat down at his solid gold writing desk and took out his diamond quill and penned a letter asking the Activision Blizzard Board of Directors to reduce his compensation to the California state legal minimum of $62,500 a year. He even goes on to clarify, quote, "This is a reduction of my overall compensation, not just my salary. I am asking not to receive any bonuses or be granted any equity during this time." Just in case you were ready with a cynical zinger like I was. I was, yeah, he's gonna get stock options anyway. And then, yeah, it was the next line. So I'm like, okay.
Hey, good for him. Yeah, good for him. We gotta admit, that's at least a very concrete expression of contrition. Shame about all the millions he's already been paid and gets to keep as a result of sexual harassment, though. But let's say he didn't know anything about this. I'm sure he did, but let's say he didn't. At least now he's like, well, fuck, I fucked up. I'm gonna at least give the company back some money.
And Bruce, you bring up a good point. The buck stops all the way at the top, or it ought to. But Kotick was CEO of Activision in '91. He's been there for 30 years. I think it's actually very believable that he's just been in a managerial and executive layer that's totally removed from all that. And if all of the C-suite executives are telling him everything's great, because of course they're going to say that, he may genuinely have not known.
He's not going to be spending any lonely nights with an eviction notice and Little Caesars, the room temperature pizza sitting out. He's fine. I'm not worried about Bobby Kotick, but at least he's doing this. So
anyway, following the announcements, the ABK Workers Alliance pointed out that Activision Blizzard's internal audit is still being conducted by the legal firm Wilmer Hale, which it does not consider a, quote, unbiased third party. But pretty happy about the rest of it, which, it's good stuff. Reason to be, look forward to the future, finally.
Yeah, no, it's true. Like we said, though, at least we're finally starting to see some positive headlines regarding Activision Blizzard. Hopefully at some point, everyone involved feels like some justice has been served, and hopefully it'll get all the way to the end where all of the justice has been served. I don't know if we'll ever feel that, but let's get close. Let's try and get close.
And speaking of good news, and maybe return to normalcy, we actually have something video game related to talk about.
Oh man, what a breath of fresh air. What, video games from Activision Blizzard? You're crazy.
Don't get ahead of yourself too much, because this is a mobile game.
Oh, well, it's a 3-year-old mobile game that just has not come out, and we've all been waiting for it.
It's been zombie shuffling towards release, as far as we can tell. Closed beta test started today. That's October 28th, at the time of writing and recording.
GameSpot reports that the beta is only available to select participants in Canada and Australia, with South Korea, China, and Japan coming later. So Blizzard didn't provide any info about other regions or anything about an open beta. Though they did say the game is, quote, now planned for release in the first half of 2022.
The only reason I'm a little weird about it is just this game has been a mystery to me for a long time, basically since it announced. Their launch timetable has made no sense to me. It doesn't take 3 years to make a mobile game, especially one that was fully I was at the BlizzCon. It was fully playable in 2018. And the extra weird thing, in early 2019, NetEase, the dev partner for this, basically said their part was done. An investor asked them about launch date, and they were like, ask Blizzard, we're ready to go. Whenever they want to, we can do it. And then just nothing for 2 more years, 3 more years, so who knows what's going on. But hey.
Maybe they're trying to time it for something? Like they time the release with when they need revenue or something? I don't know, who knows?
A game like that stands to make that much money, every year you don't release it, you're giving up tens of millions of dollars. I don't know what's up with that. But hey, we have a window now, so that's cool. I wouldn't mind, tip-tapping on my phone a little bit.
Apart from that, no real dates or windows for Overwatch 2 or Diablo 4. Again, though, given the circumstances, we completely understand why work may not be moving forward predictably at Activision Blizzard for the time being. Take your time, is what I'd say.
I just look forward to the day when hopefully some goodwill is restored, talented people feel safe and productive where they work, and then we can sit down and play a video game that has the Blizzard logo in front of it, have a great time, and everyone's happy all over again. So looking forward to that day.
It'll probably be some years in the future, but hopefully it'll feel good and all the workers will be feeling good about where they are. Also, we have to publish a retract. This is the first Inside Games retraction.
Our first very brave Inside Games retraction. Yeah, last week we reported on a grip of stories surrounding Sony's presence on the PC. As part of that, we referenced the Xbox Era podcast and rumors reported by Special Nick.
Yeah, we reported that Nick claimed that Blue Point Games had developed a Bloodborne PC port, a remaster, and a sequel. That was actually a misunderstanding on our part.
Yeah, or specifically my part. Nick did actually leave a comment on our last video clarifying that he never actually said Blue Point made the PC port of the game, just the remaster and the sequel. So that puts our analysis of the rumor in a bit of a different light, bit of a less workload for Blue Point specifically. So thank you for the correction. Apologies for the inaccuracy, and we will always strive to be the most bravely correct we can about video games, because being right about video games is all we've got.
Also, I want to say, Special Nick, thank you very much for, number one, watching the show, and number two, leaving a comment. We appreciate that.
Yeah, being cool. You didn't call us names or anything. I appreciate that.
Thanks for being really nice about correcting us.